Oh, yes, you did. I was about to lie. Yes, sir. Yes. That's what I feel like.
How you doing?
Good, you don't have to get up.
Good evening and welcome to the City of Lemon Grove's regular city council meeting. I would like to remind everyone to please silence your cell phones. City clerk, will you please call the roll of the city council members present to go on the record as an attendant?
Councilmember Heredia.
Here.
Councilmember Altamirano. Currently, she is not present at the moment, but she will be late. Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Here.
Mayor Snow.
Here.
Mayor Snow, we have a quorum of the city council.
Fantastic, thank you so much. Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza, will you please lead us in the pledge of allegiance? Mr. Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
Mayor Snow, I have no changes to tonight's agenda.
Wonderful. We'll next move on to the presentations portion of the agenda. Today we have a plaque in recognition of the outgoing planning commissioner, Commissioner John Burns. Tonight I have the great privilege of recognizing an individual who has devoted his time and talent in service of the city of Lemon Grove, our planning commissioner, John Burns. John began his service in July of 2022 and concluded his service on September 30th, 2025, marking over 3 years of dedicated public service to the Planning Commission. During his tenure, John has played a key role in shaping thoughtful recommendations that have helped guide the growth, development, and character of the city. His professionalism, collaborative spirit, and steady approach to complex issues have been deeply appreciated by the council, city staff, and by our community. On behalf of the entire city council, thank you, John, for over 3 years of commitment and contribution to the city of Lemon Grove. I'd like to open the floor to Chair Smith, Commissioner Clark Manson, and any of the planning commissioners who may wish to offer a few words or share appreciation for outgoing planning commissioner John Burns. At this time, I'd like to,
Well, I'd also like to echo what our mayor said. Thank you, John, for being on our planning commission for the past 3 years. It's been a pleasure working with you. You brought to us programmatic insights that I don't think we would have otherwise had. I look at things more in an aesthetic fashion in a lot of senses. I know we have varying viewpoints on our planning commission, and your insights were incredibly valuable in looking at business plans, programmatic elements, how things are going to function to the day-to-day that I think can sometimes be overlooked otherwise. So thank you for being on our planning commission these past 3 years. We're sad to see you go, but happy that you're moving on to bigger and better things. Thank you.
I just want to say how important it is to have varying views. One of the things that we often try to do is come to consensus on things. The only way you can come to consensus accurately, in my mind, is if you do have opposing views. If you have someone who thinks quite differently than you do, who can bring things up that you would have never thought about. And you do that. You did that for the group. You made me see things in ways that I would not have seen them. I appreciate that. I value that. And I am sad that that voice will not be there any longer. So thank you for your time.
do we have any other planning commissioners who'd like to speak? Okay, then at this time, I'd like to present John with the plaque of a small token, as a small token of appreciation for your service. And we've got some beautiful flowers, some pink flowers. It's almost as tall as you are. Present you with this plaque. Yep, there you go.
When you're seated, you're not that tall.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I also wanted to give a shout out to the spouses, they do a lot. They miss their significant other, so shout out to Daniel back there too. Thanks for being here and supporting him. Next, we have another proclamation. It's to National Fire Prevention Week. And it will go to Fire Chief Bent Coe, and I will read the proclamation. Whereas the city of Lemon Grove is committed to ensuring the safety of all those living in our city, and whereas fire remains a serious public safety threat, both locally and nationally, and the presence of lithium-ion batteries in many household devices introduces unique fire risks. Whereas most of the electronics used in homes daily, including smartphones, tablets, laptops, power tools, e-bikes, e-scooters, and toys, are powered with lithium-ion batteries and if misused, damaged, or improperly charged, can overheat, start a fire, or explode. And whereas the National Fire Protection Association reports an increase in battery-related fires, underscoring the need for public education in the safe use of lithium-ion batteries. And whereas residents should follow 3 key calls to action related to safety use of lithium-ion batteries. Buy only listed products. Check batteries safely. And recycle them responsibly to prevent battery-related fires. And whereas the 2025 Fire Prevention Week theme, Charge into Fire Safety, lithium-ion batteries in your home, serves to remind us of the importance of using, charging, and recycling lithium-ion batteries safely to reduce the risk of fires in homes and communities. Now therefore, I, Allison Snow, Mayor of the City of Lemon Grove, together with the City Council, do hereby proclaim October 5th through October 11th, 2025 to be Fire Prevention Week in the City of Lemon Grove. We urge all residents to charge into fire safety with lithium-ion batteries and only buy listed products, charge batteries safely, and recycle them responsibly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Snow. Thank you, respected members of the council. This is really, really important. It's one of our strategies to make sure that the community stays safe, and fire prevention is a very important part of it. I would like to introduce to you Heartland Fire Rescue's Fire Marshal Ken King, and also Heartland Fire Rescue's Deputy Fire Marshal Rodriguez. And I would like to give an opportunity to Fire Marshal to say a couple words about fire prevention. They do a lot in the community, and I really appreciate everything they do. They're a very great team.
Thank you, Chief. Real fast, thank you again. It's an honor to be your fire marshal and serve Lemon Grove. Julie Fauberg, who's your fire inspector, wanted to be here tonight. She's out of the city training today. I did want to note that Deputy Fire Marshal Frankie Rodriguez did serve as your fire inspector for over 4 years, so he's a grower. For over 100 years, the fire service has taken this time of year to promote Fire Prevention Week, and this week is charging with promoting battery safety. We are seeing an uptick in calls. We want to urge residents to charge safely. Don't charge your cell phone underneath your pillow. That's happened. And to recycle batteries responsibly. The city has a great website for trash recycling, so we urge residents to utilize that. And it'll help us to achieve that fire safety. Thank you very much, Council.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, we'll come down and we'll present you with the proclamation. And we'll take photos. I'm going to call one more time to see if there are any changes to the agenda.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you ask me that. I would like to pull item 1D, and that's the call for applications and setting interview date for Mr. Burns' planning division position. And I just have some ideas that I'd like to share with the council, since that's just such a short this in a timely manner, I need one other person. Kenneth, thank you very much.
We'll go ahead and add that to the end of the, we'll have that after, item 3 on the agenda. The next portion is the public comment portion of tonight's meeting. During general public comment, the public may express their concerns for items that are not on the agenda tonight. Please note that according to state law, the city council is not permitted to respond to any comments expressed by the public. Each speaker will have a maximum of 3 minutes. When speaking, observe the green light, yellow light, and red light at the podium. The red light indicates it's time for the next speaker to speak. I will go ahead and see if we have any speakers. Like we do. Our first public speaker is John L. Wood.
On Elwood, Lemon Grove. First, the weeds at Lemon Grove glass, they're still there, looks really neat. There's street light, it's a city street light, corner of, Central and Federal. It's not working, hasn't worked in a long time. Speed humps on Central, is it going to happen, or are you just going to ignore it for another 15 years or so? Other cities in the county, the outer banks, East County, have put in speed humps. I've told you where to get them. Nobody's done anything. Because nobody listens. The creek is growing again. Especially Yorunda, which some people call bamboo, but it's not. Looks like it, but it's not. Palm trees at the corner of Central and Federal are starting to grow again, along with up the creek. The bicycle ordinance. Are you going to do anything about the bicycle ordinance? Or are you just going to ignore me again? Where's it going? If you decide to write a bicycle ordinance, where are you going to do it at? And how soon? You need an electric scooter ordinance also for the weed people. The ones that don't grow up to be, hopefully, like normal people. And real people that know how to think. Need to include lights for bicycles, front and rear. They don't use normal batteries anymore. They're the kind that you can plug into your home plug. They work very well, they're very bright, and they're adjustable. You can make them bright, dim, or dimmer. Back one's flash, front one's flash. You need to do that in the ordinance, and you need to do it now. And none of this stuff of the kids riding these e-bikes, from what I understand, they're fairly heavy. With them doing wheelies, no, that's not a good idea. That should be forbidden also. Thank you.
I really appreciate it, John. Next we have Truth.
I got a timer right here. Okay, I appreciate the lithium warning. Just say no to toxic lithium infrastructure, including battery energy storage sites and wind turbines, all flammable. Here was my public records request to the county, PRA number 25-4408. How much use has been reported for the county's Narcan naloxone vending machine located on Broadway in Lemon Grove for the year 2024 and 2025? How much has this vending machine cost the county since its existence? Response: the county of San Diego did not have an Narcan naloxone vending machine located on Broadway. The purchase cost of a vending machine is approximately $10,000 with a yearly cost of approximately $780 for inventory management and general maintenance. Thank you, Public Records Act Unit, County of San Diego, September 2nd. I told them to double check that because there is a vending machine with a County Goodwill logo on Broadway. They asked for the address, I gave them one, and then 2 days later, the PRA closed without an answer. A few days later, they then responded, the naloxone vending machine located at 7931 Broadway from October 2024 to August 2025. This vending machine distributed 112 naloxone kits and 630 fentanyl test strips. So that's pretty scary high. The only other information needed to accurately quantify the use is how many different people inserted their IDs into this machine. It could be 600 different people using it, or it could just be one person using a lot. On the subject of audiovisual equipment for these meetings, Enola brought up the addition of comments by phone. I support that option. A lot of meetings need it. Face-to-face interactions are always the best way, and comment by phone doesn't change the content of one's speech. The negative is that anyone from anywhere could comment, not that that's really different than the current reality. But it will invite more comments. But one of these days, Jessica's phone is gonna be empty of long videos, and I look forward to that. She does too. As an alternative council chamber, I like the library building and its bright restrooms and strong air conditioning, but the council would move further and further away from the original location. And here's a photo reference of what a beautified, fenced-off, vacant building can look like. It's a vinyl banner over chain link fencing at a hotel undergoing renovation in Coronado. Depending on the legal question, it may be wise for Lemon Grove to create a list of requirements on owners of vacant properties, and especially on properties that have damage or vandalism. The city also needs to establish media connections to help promote businesses, because I've seen highlights on cities like El Cajon, but never on Lemon Grove. And can we convince businesses to move downtown via incentives, such as guarantees on future investment or developments, or aid with new signage like El Cajon did? And not only do you have to do things right the first time as a council member, but you must always plan all projects with the future in mind. And so that's why I support the council work plan, because the priorities are just right on. Thank you. My timer, by the way, it's somehow stuck, so I have no idea where I'm at.
Thank you so much, Drew. Next, we have Ken King. And actually, Mr. King, can you please sit for a moment? We're gonna fix the lighting up here. All right, we appreciate your patience on that. Mr. King.
Good afternoon. Our lovely mayor did a press release 6.5 months ago stating that she acquired
We can't hear you.
$8.4 million for the homeless encampments on 94 corridor. This is a lie. I'd like to put her name on it. Since this has happened, we have been told by other council members that 13 people were helped in this quarter, which is great news, out of 200. But then we also were told, by people who are living there, that they were told that there was no more room, no more space, that everything was taken. Why is this? Where's the money gone all of a sudden? How did we go from 13 to 200? Also in this grant, it was $84,000 or $85,000 for cleanup. Why haven't we used that money to clean up that mess that's over there? It gets bigger and bigger. There's a camping ban that these people are sleeping under. Right here on the city website. I'm sure you're all aware of it, right? Why aren't you enforcing it? Lydia, isn't that your job? The sheriff department's right here. Just tell them, clean it up. Very simple. That's probably why you need to go. You don't need to be back next year. You already made that comment last year as well. I Let's see what else. As for the candidates, why don't you let the people let them grow and make who they want, instead of you? Because if they're not kissing your backside, you don't want them on the city council, period. You've made that known several times for different positions that you want to fill. Even calling some people spicy, because you don't like them. As for the sheriff's department, why is it they're sitting at their office waiting for phone calls? Isn't it their job, we're paying them $7 million to go out and control the area? When I'm collecting signatures for your recall, there's people speeding up and down the street for the 2 or 3 hours that I'm there. We should be over there, not sitting in their office. Again, Lydia, that's your job. And yours too. And if anybody wants, we're still doing the recall. And I'm here afterwards, you can sign that.
This is not a time for elections, discussions. Okay, thank you, sir. Have a good day. Next we have Matt Kostrinsky.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Max Strinsky, I'm the Local 127. I want to just give an update. I'm glad to see that the city is moving forward with the wage and comp study. Thank you very much. We look forward to that. We're also going to have our first labor management committee meeting coming up the end of this month, so I appreciate that. I do want to highlight that one minor thing is that our members still are waiting, in the budget for new chairs. It's been an issue, a minor issue, but the chairs have not yet come forward. I'm not sure what the timing is for that. But I want to actually address one issue that the gentleman just before me raised regarding a recall. Also the vacancy. We're highly concerned about this. I represent members that work for the city here in Public Works. The city has struggled to pay wages. We're doing a wage and comp study. And getting equipment. We have trucks that are older than our own employees working and driving them. They'll have to idle them because they're concerned about needing them to turn off. They may not turn back on. This recall and to fill a vacancy with election will cost the city almost up to $800,000. $800,000 will actually pay for 6 years of the current employees that we represent, their salaries, over 6 years. I would like to see that money spent for new vehicles, for doing roads, speed bumps, cleaning out the trash. I think that, honestly, I think if the two issues I read about the recall, as a union, we'd like to know is that there's a claim of financial issues. That is a city claim, and we'd like to know if that is true. We did not see that, we've not heard that, we've not seen any materials about that. If that is true, then the city should have that information. We'd love to, for the city manager to address that. That is a concern for us. We've not heard that in any audit that was brought forward this year. No one on city council in the past, or in the current one has actually brought forward anything about that. That's a concern for us. The second part is regarding homelessness. Our folks every week have to go out and address the homeless. That should not be their main jobs that are in streets, facilities, and sanitation. But that becomes their job solely almost for a day and a half each week. We need to address it. I understand people are upset about it. This is a County of San Diego measure. It is not the City of Lemon Grove. We wish if you have issues with it, bring forward your ideas to the council how to address it. But if you are opposed to this temporary housing that's been here for around 5 years, go to the county board of supervisors. They meet and they are responsible for this. We've had good conversations with the supervisor who's bringing this forward, and I recommend that you do that. This recall and a special election, if it's needed to find a vacancy for our councilman who's passed away, rest his soul, will put the city further in debt. The money that we raised for sales tax is needed. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all the public comment. That concludes our public comment, but I'll turn it over to our city manager and city staff to address some of the issues that were presented.
Just really quickly, Mayor Stone, council members, for the record, I have received written public comment from Barbara Gordon. Copies of those letters have been distributed to the full council and are available at the public review table.
So, I just
just confirmed that bike lights, both front and back, as well as helmets for those under 18 is required already by state law. So we don't need to have a repetitive law. Sheriffs can enforce that already, should they choose to do that. Second of all, the two areas that you have mentioned to clean up are in the code enforcement process. So I'll have, Mr. Fellows is there, have him follow up with the code enforcement officer, to ensure that both of those areas, the creek and the Mesa Glass, gets cleaned up. Regarding financial issues, we don't have really currently any financial issues. In fact, we're one of the few cities in the state that is financially stable. Even with the Measure T funds, which is why Measure T funds is augmenting, not supplanting our city services. I've not been aware of, I know community members have called for a forensic audit, but usually for a forensic audit, you need to show some sort of misdeeds going on. You don't just do a forensic audit, you do a forensic audit because you believe something, a specific fund was misled, like the sanitation fund is overcharging the general fund or something like that. But none of those have been, come forward. And we do homeless cleaning, every week, as one of the speakers said. It's part of our work plan, not only to clean up the sites, but also to clean up all of the illegal dumps. And we're having a high instance of homeowners and other residents going to where the encampment site is and dumping off refrigerators. In the last week, we've had refrigerators, sofas, water heaters dumped off in the location where our unhoused live and blaming the unhoused. It's not them. We actually have photographs, and I know we're following up with citations and tickets with all of those illegal dumpers in that area. And then just to clear up on the grant. So the grant did not give the city $85,000 to clean up. In a grant process, you have to show in-kind services to elicit a grant. And that's what we put in there as part of our contribution. We value the cost of my team to clean it out to clean out our homeless on a weekly basis for 3 years. And that's the number, the estimate number that we came up with to put in the grant. So it's not money for us, it's our in-kind contribution to elicit the $8.4 million in partnership with the Regional Task Force on Homelessness. And then second of all, we will be entering a new phase with the Regional Task Force on Homelessness to clear the campsites that have already had the Regional Task Force Homeless in there to house those individuals. They're working with a by name list, and if those homeless individuals aren't currently on the by name list, they're offered other services but not housing. Because the grant we had a by name list of about 200, we have about 200 people on that by name list, and those housing are reserved for those people on the list. So anybody new that shows up is not on the list. So we discourage new people from showing up and encourage those that are there to get housed. I think those are all my comments.
Can you also clarify the source of the funding and where the funding stream is coming and where it's going to?
Yes, sorry about that, Mayor. It is the Regional Task Force on Homelessness is the grantee. The City of Lemon Grove, Caltrans, and the City of La Mesa are partners in this project. The Regional Task Force on Homeless controls the money. They control the reporting out. They have all of the control. They even hired the staff that is working out there that does the homeless outreach. The money came from the state of California as part of their annual budget allocations, or they call it the HAP grant, HAP.
And do you have an update on the number of people served in that program today?
I don't have that number off the top of my head, I apologize that, I did not get that from Mr. Bates when he left, today. But I will make sure that the council has that.
So that concludes the public comment portion of the agenda. Next, we will move on to the consent calendar minus item 1D. Can I have a motion, to approve the consent calendar of the remaining items?
I'll move to approve the consent calendar minus item one D.
Councilmember Faria, your microphone is on.
I'll move to approve the consent calendar minus item 1D.
I'll second.
The motion was made by Councilmember Heredia with a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza to approve consent calendar items 1A through 1F, absent item 1D. I'll now conduct the roll to go on the record. Councilmember Altamirano,
Aye.
Councilmember Heredia,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza,
Aye.
Mayor Snow.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you so much. Now we'll move to item number 2. This is the consideration of options to fill the city council vacancy. I'll call on City Manager Lydia Romero to present the report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And if the clerk can move the slides over, that would be great. We are here tonight, to consider other options to fill the vacancy, for the city council seat, since the city council was unable to come up with a decision at the last meeting. So, I'm just gonna shuffle it. So on the PowerPoint slide, and it's contained in the staff report, I listed just each one of the options to fill the city council seat. Again, we're governed under the government code, since the city of Lemon Grove doesn't have its own filling vacancy process. And just to put a plug in, maybe that could be an eventual council goal, that we come up with a process, so we have a process that fits Lemon Grove for appointment process. I know there are some other cities in the state that do that. So some of the reconsideration process. One of the things for the council to consider is reconsidering the same candidates, ensuring that those candidates, would like to be reconsidered, and the council can then go back and do further deliberations. You don't have to re-interview them and then come up with a majority, vote for those individuals. Another option is an additional round of applications, which means we scrap all of these applications, we start the process again. And those that have applied the first time are more than welcome to apply the second time. And then we go through the same process of interview and selection. The third option is very similar, but instead of allowing those that applied the first time, we start with a new slate of candidates. So if anybody applied the first time, they cannot apply the second time, and it's a brand new slate. And again, very similar to option 2, we do the interview process, and then the council makes its appointment. Another operation to consider is, again, ask for additional applications. We can do 1, 2, or 3, but appoint a subcommittee to vet those applications, kind of like an interview process. And then the subcommittee will then recommend to council 1 or 2 candidates to consider. The other process is the city council can nominate individuals from your seat and hope that they gather the requisite 3 votes to get approved. You can also, and this can be coupled with 1, 2, 3, perhaps 4, is predetermine a tiebreaker. So if we get into the same situation where it's a 2-2 vote, there's a predetermination on how to break that vote, opposed to having continued motions and seconds. And that tiebreaker could be a name in the bowl, it could be short-strawed, so that is the tiebreaker, and whoever is the successful person of that tiebreaker then is seated as the city council member. The next 2 steps that are outlined, the city clerk will go over. One of them is the call for special elections that she will go over, and then the take no action option. Again, she will go over.
Next slide, please.
I'm gonna turn it over to the city attorney to walk over that.
Okay, so, taking the last 2 items, which is, calling for a special election or taking no action. Calling a special election, we've been through before, it does require a majority vote of the city council in order to call the special election. If you do so, the timing is such that the special election has to take place greater than 114 days from the date that you call it. So we have the timeline set up here on the slide. For example, if you call the election by December 21st, the election date is going to be April 14th. By January 11th, if you call it, the election date would be May 5th, and then on the outside, I won't go through all of them, but if you call it on July 12th, then the November 3rd election, which puts us basically at a general election anyway. So you can see there are only so many opportunities for an election to take place, and like I said, requires a majority vote of 3. The final option is to take no action, or if you're deadlocked and you can't break a 2-2 vote on any of these options, then you take a legal risk by moving forward. The remedy is for a member of the public to bring a writ of mandate to force the city council to move forward in one way or the other. In that instance, a judge who hears a writ of mandate and grants it is gonna send it back to the city council to make a decision. The judge isn't gonna force you to call an election or to appoint. The statute does not include the remedy. It doesn't say if you don't choose any of these options, then you have to move forward with an election, for example. Ultimately, you all have to come to a decision one way or the other. The statute is clear that it says the city council shall appoint or shall call a special election where the seat that is going to be filled was an elected position, which we have in this case. If a special election is called, the person who is elected would fill the seat until the end of the term of the previous member. So that seat would be filled by special election until 2028. If you appoint to fill the seat, then the statute is clear that the person who is appointed will only fill that position until the next general election, which is November of 2026. So that's the difference between appointment versus special election. And then an election would take place in November 26th. Again, the appointment process, election takes place in 2026, and the person who is elected to fill that seat in 2026 only fills for the remainder of the term of the person who originally filled the seat. So there's gonna be another election in 2028 for the remainder of that term. And those are the options that I have for you, and if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
And let me add one caveat regarding the election to fill. The register of voters won't give us a precise number, they give us an estimate. On the low end, it's 275, on the high end, it's 450. Depending on when the election happens, most likely it is in the higher end. I've talked to several cities that have been through and are currently going through recalls, and they're at the higher end of the scale, not the lower end of the scale. And with that, we are asking the city council to please have a discussion on this item. Please direct us on what you would like to do for the next city council meeting. And if the options that the council are considering, and if we can go back to that slide, involve additional appointments, either 1, 2, 3, or could you please give staff some very precise directions about coming back with a outline and a timeline and a calendar at the next meeting, so we can make sure that those that are interested can have the opportunity to apply. And with that, both Kristen and I stand to answer any questions you have for the city attorney.
Thank you for that presentation. Do we have any public comment on this item? First, we'll call Truth.
So my top 3 picks were actually Lauren, Jay, and Manola. So pretty close. I do wish Yadira and Jessica would have at least chosen a top 3 to give due credit to the good candidates. I was there for the filling of the vacancy in Lemon Grove's unofficial sister city in Vero Beach, and the candidate with council experience was my first pick. However, after the second meeting of Q&A, surprisingly, his past experience felt irrelevant to the current situation. So my pick changed to the council member with volunteer and county staff experience. She ended up being selected after one council member decided to go with the majority, and one political union-controlled council member pretty much doesn't care and voted for nobody. The lesson, keep an open mind. Council experience is very important, but it's not everything. It's just as important to consider current situations and needs of the city as well as someone's vision. Jay Bass is a great candidate in his answers, awareness of issues, and experience on boards and commissions. He's also a veteran, which is a positive. If we judge Lauren on her own merits, we see a good person who does a lot of volunteer work, but Jay would win on merit. But I find this vacancy to be a special circumstance where special solutions need to be considered. The reason there's a vacancy is Steve. Did Steve do anything people didn't like? No, right? Since the answer is no, why is it not possible to pick the person who knew his vision for the city? I find Lauren's character to be one that treats everyone with respect and doesn't look for conflict but for unity, which this city desperately needs. I appreciated Yadira's point about the promise from Allison directly to the FIAs made in this room. But Jennifer's point about the city manager having to train a record amount of new council members is noted. However, despite being new, Allison, Jessica, and Yadira have all proven it's possible to work hard to understand this job well enough at an acceptable pace. Someone like Lauren who's not looking for a stepping stone could work on a temporary basis until the people can choose who's next. However, I'd also encourage another meeting with more questions and answers, because that's what made the decision clear for me in Imperial Beach. Without it, I feel like I would have supported the wrong candidate. And the same situation is there. I really don't know either candidate, so I don't have an inherent bias. I'm giving you my opinion. That's just clear of political games. So my mind is still open to the very well qualified Jay if more information could be provided to make the circumstantial choice clear. Every council member's mind, and not just heart, should be open to the options and be willing to look at the other side. An election is the best-selling person winning, but an appointment is trust in and respect for someone the community already knows with proven character, consistency, and commitment. I don't support a subcommittee. That feels like more games, but I would support a tiebreaker too, consisting of specifically rock, paper, scissors, because I feel like if you're gonna have a battle, then just go all out.
Thank you. Next, we have Matt Kostrinsky.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilmember. My name is Matt Kostrinsky with Aspen Local 127. I want to first state that I think the idea of having a special election is cost prohibitive for the city. I would like us to see us invest in the city supplies, in the creeks, the roads, redoing the lights, everything that needs to happen in the city. I'd rather spend that money on that. I think hopefully you all can hopefully find someone. But if it is not possible, that we do not go to a special election. Two, I would offer these two suggestions that were not listed. One, if candidates are interested in doing this, there should be a town hall forum where they have to stand before the voters and answer questions. Now that there is a forum for them to go before, let voters then come forward to ask them questions. I think that would be a great opportunity for them to show, just as you all who have run before had to do in other avenues. Two, I think the idea of ranked vote choice is also another good idea, where everyone is required to vote in the first round for your top 4, 3, and then you go down to 2, and then you go down to 1 or so. But you can also look at ranked voting also as another option. But again, I'd like to conclude, I do not support the idea of using city taxpayer dollars for another special election. Thank you.
Appreciate it. We have no further public comment on this, and so now I'll turn over to the city council to see who has questions. I'll start with Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
So I have 2 questions for the city attorney. When you were researching this, did you find any cities that actually were in the position that we're in and that had not called, that had reached a stalemate, not called a special election?
Yes, Delmar is in that situation right now. They have taken, they brought back the item on several occasions and they could not break their tie, and so they've continued on with 4 members, and I believe that they will continue to do that until the election.
And then, another consideration, no matter what we decide, there'll be 3 seats open in November. And, 2 of those seats up for election. 2 of those seats are, 4-year seats. And then 1 is a 2-year,
Correct.
2-year term. How is it decided which to, like, so let's say 6 people run for city council and the top 3 people, the top 2 vote getters get the 4-year terms and the third person who comes in third get the 2-year.
Good question, I don't know the answer to that. No, I'll look well as we sit here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a consideration that, you know, we head into this uncharted territory that we might wanna think about.
You're right, because we don't have district elections. So typically you take the top 2, top 3 and they would take seats, but in this case you have that position that is in the 2-year. I suspect, but and I'll confirm this, that it would be identified different on the ballot.
Oh, and that's,
But I-
that's something I'm thinking too, because there might be someone who just wants to run for a 2-year term, so.
That may be true. I will look into that, and I'll try to do that right now.
Okay, right.
But if I can't, then I will get you.
And Mayor Pro Tem, just my experience with another city that went through something very similar, when they did identify it separately as the 2-year term, to replace the seat of a council member that, had stepped away. Even though we had the normal election that went through the regular process, this was identified separately, as a special 2-year seat.
Councilmember Heredia?
Thank you, Councilmember Mendoza. I was gonna ask that same question. But I have one. One thing I was would like to clarify is if we, let's just theoretically say we decided to do a special election, would the December date coincide if the recall was successful to put them together because of the December thing?
Not necessarily, it really depends on whether there are so many variables with regard to the recall. They haven't qualified yet for the ballot, I don't know when that will happen, and so it just depends, I don't know the answer.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. And then, I think that's it for now.
Councilmember Altamirano?
Are we limited to the deadline? Some folks are saying 60 days, 90 days. Sounds like we are not limited, that we can come back.
Well, the statute says 60 days, that you're supposed to fill the seat either by vacancy or by calling a special election within 60 days of the vacancy. We're clearly beyond that, so we're already at a little bit of legal risk, but you're deadlocked. So we're gonna keep trying, until we're directed to stop trying.
And, I think I would, for options for appointment, I would reconsider the previous applicants as well as new applicants for myself. I don't think I'm in a position to say who can or cannot apply. I would also consider the top 2 candidates, maybe for them to come back and, we could try asking them additional questions, and see if we can come to an agreement. And I would, in regards to a subcommittee, if we were to go out that route, I agree with, Truth in regards to it would be complicated because then we have to pick a subcommittee and how many, individuals would make up that committee too. And then, yeah, I'm open for city council members nominating candidates as well.
City manager?
Anytime we talk about a city council subcommittee, it has to be 2 members. Other than that, it's a formal meeting, any more than 3 discussing a policy issue is a violation.
Can you confirm is that subcommittee made of 2
It'll
council
be-
members?
Only 2 council members, yes, only 2, not any more than that. Because 3 is the magic number and I can't have 3 talk about something. That is gonna be recommended to the full body.
You could have 3 as long as they met the Brown Act requirements, so you'd have regularly noticed meetings, open to the public while you discuss the issue.
One of the things that we had a bunch of amazing candidates come through, and who were well prepared, who worked diligently to do this, and participate in the process. And, some of the council members only selected one person and would not move from that one person. I don't wanna put somebody through another round of that, without the commitment of the other council members, that they would consider other candidates and would look at other candidates in a real way and not just stand behind their one candidate and refuse to move the entire time. I think that's a farce and it's a waste of everybody's time. And we have real city business that we need to move forward with, and so unless they're willing to, be able to compromise and realistically consider these other options, then I think, this is an exercise in futility. I'll go to Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza. Do you have any follow-up?
Yeah, so I think, one thing that wasn't on here was the rank, like a ranked choice voting, which is how we were supposed to do the process. And that's where we would pick, we had said our top 3 people, and then if, and then there would, I'm not sure what that process would be, like if we, picked, interviewees 1, 5, and 6, but I think we would have had, success at landing on someone that at least got, a first, second, or third place vote from the 4 of us. And so, I think that's the only way that we can do this, and I move that that is the process that we go forward with the existing candidates, who, I don't think it's fair to allow new, people to come in and apply. The people who applied, they took the time and the trouble to put together resumes and, fill out applications and come in here and be interviewed by us. And I think we need to respect them and honor, their commitment in getting that in the time frame that we asked them to get that in. And we were presented with 8 very good candidates. Like, there's no one there that, that wouldn't make a good city council member. And as I stated before, the question in my mind is, I want someone who, what's best for the city, not the person who I like the best, or who I think is the nicest. And I think I am not gonna say that one of these, I would be able to get along with one of these people better than any of the other
applicants. Some of them I know, some of them don't. I don't know. But I've, in my time as a city council member and as a planning commissioner, there's a lot of times where I've appointed people that I have never met before in my life. I appointed John Burns. I don't know John Burns. To this day, if I saw, except he is pretty tall, so I would probably recognize him. And I had no idea that he's married to the vice principal of my grandson's elementary school. So I don't know this guy, you know, I didn't pick him because I know him. Jackie, I didn't know Jackie, and I mean, now of course I do know Jackie when I see her on the street, but I didn't know her before she came in and applied. She blew me away with her application. And I don't have my glasses on, I don't know if she's here or not, I don't wanna say too many great things about her and embarrass her. But yeah, you know, she came in here and applied and interviewed, and I didn't know who this person was, and I thought, oh my gosh, what rock has she been hiding under, because she's fantastic. So this isn't a popularity contest where we appoint our friends. We appoint the people that we think are gonna do the best job for the city. And so, you know, and as far as like a legacy appointment, that's kind of something from the past. That isn't, I mean, that's not something that's happened in probably the last 20 years. And it's also kind of a sexist thing. Like, for instance, if something happened, God forbid, to Vera, would we appoint her husband? Is that, I don't think so. You know, that's not a legacy. If she served for 20 years on the council, that's a legacy. 6 months isn't a legacy. And so I don't buy the legacy appointment. I am looking at these people who came in here and took the time to apply. No one has pressured me to appoint someone. No one, and you know, full disclosure, the only candidate that I have talked to about their, has been about their application has been Lauren Fayad. And in passing, I said, I think to Jay, I'll see you tomorrow night. And I see Manola all the time, and we haven't had any long discussions about her application, or I also know Seth. Joe Smith, I sent him email the next day and congratulated him and said I thought he did a fantastic job, and I suggested that he talk to the other council members, because I think he did a fantastic interview. So, I mean, I think we have to do the ranked choice voting. Otherwise, we're just gonna continue to be at a stalemate. I'm willing to compromise. I have, in my head, I didn't come in here, that night. I read everybody's resume, and some people I knew, some people I didn't. I kept an open mind. I still have an open mind. I didn't come in here and just know in my head, I'm only gonna vote for one person. Because that's not what I did. I actually picked my top 3, maybe 4. I could even go down to a top 5 people that I would, and maybe even a 6. But one of those people dropped out. So, you know, that I think, and we don't have a rule that said, I mean, nobody did anything wrong. I mean, you didn't do anything wrong. It's your choice. If you just want to have one person, then if that's your only choice, that's your prerogative. There's nothing that says you can't do that unless we adopt a procedure that says you can't do that. And that's where I wanna go. If we don't adopt, a procedure to select city council candidates, and that's why I pulled the planning commission, also, and to select planning commissioner, candidates, then, we're gonna have one stalemate after another when it comes to picking people. I believe, because I think that there is an outside pressure to appoint certain people. So, I'm not getting that pressure, like I said, no one talked to me about it. So, that is my motion, is that we adopt a process, and we can bring that to well, I don't even have to make a motion. I think that's what we should bring back to the council for discussion, is an actual process that will prevent, being, stuck on a 2-2, basis. And I also think we should only consider the people who've already applied. I think that's all.
City manager?
Mayor Pro Tem and the rest of the council, if you do decide to move forward with a process, City Attorney and I can create a process. It will be an ordinance, because the ordinance has the effect of forcing folks to do something, force of law. Second of all, if you choose to stay with the current the candidate pool that you all interviewed last time, staff would go back and work with each one of the candidates to ensure that they're still interested to move forward with the process. There could be some hard feelings, they could not want to move forward with the process, so staff would get back to you to say, are all of them willing to do it, half of them willing to do it, 3 of them are willing to do it, so you have the information to know whom you're working with the new process, for the process to consider the former interviewees.
I wanted to add something to that. What the city manager said about bringing back an ordinance, and an ordinance would be something that's for the long term, right, for not necessarily this opportunity, right? That majority could agree on a process right now, and we can move forward with that immediately. It doesn't have to be an ordinance right now. In fact, I would urge you not to do an ordinance right now, because it requires a first reading and a second reading, unless we did an urgency ordinance. But if you are willing to agree on an ordinance, you'd be willing to agree on the process in this instance. So if you just agreed in this instance, I would encourage you to do that. And then we can bring back an ordinance in the future.
Councilmember Herdia?
Okay, well, I want to make this really super clear. There was no compromise on your side either. The 3 people that you chose were people that were gonna do whatever you want them to do. The community was upset that you wouldn't make an exception for Lauren. I think that you're a little tone deaf, both of you, as to what's really happening in this community and what this community needed. We need to be healed, okay? I'm not gonna sit up here and be belittled by you every time we're up here, okay? Both of you, okay? So stop.
Amen.
So
You're done talking, thanks.
Councilmember Herdia, please, that is not your call.
It's my turn.
It's your turn, but it's my call.
Okay, what's your call?
You can proceed.
Thank you. The top 3 votes were not required. I'm not in favor of changing per se the procedure anyway. I chose the person that I thought was, what we needed. And if I didn't find 2 other people that I thought could fill that the way I thought that the community needed it, then you can't require me to put that out there. I'm sorry. As far as, and again, I just really want to reiterate, you didn't compromise either, actually. Just really want to set that out there. Secondly, as far as the types of, moving forward, what I would be willing to consider is to reconsider the previous slate of candidates. I would also consider an additional round of applications and interviews. I'd like to say I would be willing to restart the application process with a new slate of candidates. And, I could also get behind the city council members nominating candidates. However, I do not know that we would ever come to a consensus because I believe that these two are very deep into the political parties. And I don't know that it will ever really be fair, because that's really the opposite of what I think is needed right now. What we need right now is someone that listens and is gonna be independent thinking. That's really what we need. So I'd like you to consider, possibly looking at Lauren again. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Altamirano?
You know, I have said in the past that it takes a lot for me to get offended, but after much thinking, the comments that were made against the community and against myself regarding me being an olive branch, and it's my shirt, were just inappropriate, in my opinion. They were comments of lack of confidence and security. There were comments of, I'm not gonna do what the people want me to do, because I've done that already and it didn't turn out so well for me. And so I'm gonna go against the community, and hey, we awarded the community, we even invited them here. Well, that is what we're supposed to do, whether we like them or not. We're supposed to reward people and acknowledge them when they do good work around the community, and do the work that the city is supposed to be doing. So, my response to those comments, it was, an attitude of vindictiveness against the community for what they wanted. The community wants healing. They want somebody that represents Steve Fayay, who was a very impactful person up here. The atmosphere has changed up on the dais in the community. It is true that we are trying to work as a team, but it is also true that there is some disconnect. We can feel it, everybody can feel it. And so how do we get back to working together? How do we get back to being about the business of the city of Lemon Grove? Then we bring somebody that was like Steve Fayay. We bring someone that is gonna be loyal to no one, or they're not gonna give in to the request of loyalty to someone up here, or to the request of loyalty to a certain party. We want someone that is loyal to the community of Lemon Grove. That is what I'm looking for. I'm willing to put aside my ego, my pride. I am not about drama. Somebody said that at this point of my life, I'm all about living a drama-free life, and that's what I want to do. I am not about that. And yeah, I was offended after the fact about the comments that were made. I am an independent thinker. I do think for myself, and you know, apparently that's not what was hoped for. And I am looking for a person that is an independent thinker, that is not going to be loyal to me or anyone up here on the dais. I'm looking for someone that is going to do the right thing for the people. That's what I'm looking for. And again, I would love to have Lauren apply again. If you feel that that's something you want to do, I could totally understand how some people can say, no, I'm not going to do this again. That was embarrassing. That was hard. A lot of hard things were said. And that's totally understandable. I think, again, thank you all for applying. Thank you guys for your understanding. This is a very hard position to be in, to be up here and comparing folks. But we must do it. So, again, thank you all who applied, and please reconsider and come up here and let us know why you should be the one chosen. Thank you.
So, just a frank conversation with Yadira, or Councilmember Altamirano, and with Councilmember Heredia. Will you guys consider anyone other than Lauren Fayay?
Would you consider Lauren Fayay?
It's just a simple question.
I'm open-minded to that. However, I do insist on the fact that I believe she's the person to bring us back. We want to be back. It's not going to be the exact same, but we want to be back prior to Steve passing. We wanna have that cohesiveness. We were joking up here, we were getting the work done. Let's go to that. And it's not a long time, it's just 1 year. Anyone else does not know what Steve Faya was about. He was an impactful person. He was what we needed. We got it for a little while. We need that back.
Councilmember Heredia?
I am open-minded. I could definitely, consider other people, but at this time, I'm still, like Yadira is saying, I believe that Lauren is the proper choice. I believe for 12 months or 14 months, at the time we finally get her up here, it would be probably 12 months. There's no reason to say no to her or having her up here, to be honest with you. You haven't given any reason why you wouldn't want her here, other than you want the people that you want. And I want somebody that the community can get behind. And I don't think that, anybody else that applied really has that essence. If there was all new candidates, I could possibly, give you 3 people. I don't know. It's hard to know what I don't know coming forward. But I definitely, still would like to put my support behind Lauren Faya, and I would like you to consider possibly, doing, something that is maybe not your first pick, but it is the safest pick for the community.
So are either of you, Councilmember Herdia and Councilmember Altamirano, would either of you support a ranked choice voting?
No.
Councilmember Altamirano?
I understand what ranked choice voting is, but can you explain further as to how that's gonna go?
I'll turn it over to the city attorney to do the explanation.
So, typically what ranked choice voting is, the council would choose their top 3 choices to fill the vacancy. If in round 1, where you collect those tallies, if one of the candidates receives more than 50% of the votes, then they're the winner. And that would be agreed upon in advance. In the past, what we've done is we've just selected it, and that's used as a tool for discussion. That has not been the rule that first person wins automatically. But if you do choose the ranked choice voting system, the person who gathers 50% or more, either in round 1, round 2, or round 3, is the choice. You're gonna know how each of you voted. So you have round 1, and each of you choose the candidate that you select. And if you're split 50-50, and you do a round 2 with whoever the top 2 choices are, and try to break that tie. Suppose it could continue to be a tie over and over and over again, though.
And you have to pick the 3.
Yes, yes.
It sounds like we're gonna end up at the same place.
You could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's pretty clear that, there are 2 council members up here who dug in their heels and they will only choose 1 candidate. And I will remind you, Councilmember Heredia, that at the time that we selected, Yadira Altamirano, you did the exact same thing. You picked 1 candidate and you would not consider another person, you would not budge, you would not move. I was the one who moved. I was the one who reached across to get somebody in here who did not think like me. She doesn't have the same politics as I do. But I had confidence in what she had done in the past, and I believed that she would be able to do the job well. The term olive branch is not a demeaning term, it is a term of peace. And that's what I was using, and that's what I wanted to extend. So there was no offense intended, in fact, it was a compliment. I thought that her voice, Councilmember Altamirano's voice, would add to what we had up here. I wasn't looking for somebody who thought the same way I did, who had the same politics I do. I wanted somebody up here who had experience, and she had previous experience on the council. I wanted someone who I felt was in touch with community. She's done great community-based work softball teams are just one of the examples of what she's done to be part of our community. And I think she understood who our people are. And so that's why I selected Councilmember Altamirano. That's why I put my support behind her. I didn't pick my friends. I did not pick my friends. I picked the person who I thought was the best person for the position. Now we are confronted with another opportunity to consider more candidates. And I selected the people who I thought were the ones who were best skilled, had the most experience, who understood the community, and who had a long time here in the soul of this community with long history of service. And there is simply no one who compared to Jay Bass. His history and legacy were deep, and he actually supported the campaigns of Councilmember Fayai and Councilmember Heredia. These are not people who are just my friends. Jay Bass is friends with these other council members as well. We have Seth Smith as friends. He participates in activities and volunteer groups with these council members. We have Manola Clark Manson. She also participates across the lines. This is a community. This isn't Team A and Team B. This is a community, and we need to come together as a community. I think as long as we continue to move forward and work together, I think we'll do just fine. I think that if we continue to try and go through these hoops and jump through these hoops, if there's, and I appreciate council members, your honesty in saying that you're not going to consider anybody else and that you're not really in favor of doing the ranked choice.
That's
And-
not
and-
what I said. I
Hang on,
said
I'll give you the
open
chance to
mind.
speak, yeah. But I appreciate, that I don't think we're gonna get there. I don't think we need to waste more city time on this. We have real city business to take care of. And if I misunderstood, I apologize. But when we did the ranked choice voting, you said again that you didn't think we would be able to come to a compromise. I don't understand where that's coming from unless it's that you won't pick anyone that I like, and that seems odd. If you could expand on why you think that you can't come to a compromise, why it's impossible between us, because I've obviously compromised in the past, and I am happy to continue to do so. I'll ask her please to be quiet. I'll give, on the green shirt, your first warning. We're just trying to work together up here, and again, I am sorry if I've done anything to make you feel belittled. Councilmember Heredia, I do hold you in high esteem. I appreciate your comments. I just do not feel the same way about what the community feels. I was elected and won the election. The community, I do have community support, and you've lectured me in the past about speaking for everyone. And again, I would remind you that you do not speak for the entire community. There are plenty of people who support Jay Bass. There were plenty of people who came in and supported. In fact, Joe Smith got some of the biggest comments and accolades during that meeting. It was not clear that the community was all rallied behind one person, and you would do well to consider that. Councilmember Altamirano, you had a comment?
Thank you, Mayor Snow. Yeah, my comment was that I do hold an open mind, in hearing everybody's, interviews again, or hearing all the applicants again, and having them make their case as to why they would be a good candidate or a good fit for the seat. My comments in regards to myself wasn't much about myself, it was about the community, so I wasn't offended for myself, I was offended at the words that were said to the community. I appreciate your vote, and I did express it at that time, but I don't believe that the comments that were made should have been addressed to the community. Listen, I did this for you, and I'm not doing that again. It does not sound right. I am open-minded, I am willing to do the work, whatever work it takes to fill that seat. And if we come to an agreement and we choose somebody, perfect. If not, then at least we can say that we tried.
Councilmember Altamirano, with all due respect, I did not say that at all. and your misrepresentation is not well taken. What I said is I have continuously tried to recognize members in the community, even people who have showed up at my work and tried to disrupt my work meetings, people who have falsely reported my daughter-in-law to Child Protective Services, people who have driven into my backyard.
The truth.
And I am still willing to work with everyone. I have expressed to you personally some of the things that I have endured. I wanted peace for this community. And I never spoke ill of the community, and I certainly never would say, and I would never do, discriminate against somebody just because they were with my political affiliation. I wouldn't discriminate against anybody based on the color of their skin or what they believe. I have not received that same respect in kind. But I will still do the best for this community, and I will still help people. I have helped people who've called me up, who have signed the recall petition. I am that kind of person. I don't hold it against you if you don't like me. I don't hold it against you if you don't feel the same way I feel about anything. But I do resent the implication of putting words into my mouth that I never said to drive dissension in this community. I have worked hard, and you know I've worked hard. I've reached out to you, I've reached out to Jessica. I have supported you in things and in ideas that you wanted to accomplish on this dais. Same with Councilmember Heredia. I will continue to do so, even if you don't think the same way I do. In fact, I appreciate that. That's why I supported you in this endeavor, and will continue to support you and continue to support each and every one of you up here. But I think at this point, it's a farce that if you guys are droning in and like honed in on just one candidate, let's just move on, be real about what the situation is, and let's get on with the rest of the business of the city. We've already gone about an hour on this topic, so if we can't get consensus on this, I'm okay with the do nothing option and take no action. Anyone else have further comments? Councilmember Heredia?
I'd actually, do we make a motion on this? As if we do, I'd like to make a motion.
I don't think there is a motion on the floor. You can make a motion that's related to, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we restart the application process with a new slate of candidates and see if we can come to some kind of agreement, because I said there wasn't anybody else in the pool of candidates that I thought was going to do what this community needed as far as healing. We could try again, and we could possibly find 3 people that I would love to see up here. I have no problem trying to do that. There's also, some of the candidates that I might be willing to reconsider for. So I'd like to make a motion that we restart the application process with the new slate of candidates. Thank you.
Let me clarify that. So the motion is to restart the appointment process, take applications, and not limit the candidate pool to anyone who, or allow the candidate pool to include anyone who would like to apply.
Even previous.
Okay.
So option 2.
Yeah, no, option 3.
Option 3 is a brand new
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. Option 3 is a brand new slate, not letting the former interviewees participate in the process.
I wanna open it up to anybody that wants to apply.
2. Alright, perfect.
That's kind of a combination of 1 and 2.
Oh, 2 and 3, okay.
And I will second that.
I'd like to make a supplement motion that if we do that option, that ranked choice voting is applied.
It's not a supplement motion, but it would be a motion to be heard first. So you're saying that you would like to make the motion that we open up the candidate pool to all people who would like to apply, including ranked choice voting. That is the motion. Correct? Okay, so we hear the supplementary motion first. So again, the motion is to open up the candidate pool to all who would like to apply and redo the appointment process, including a ranked choice voting procedure.
I have a question.
Okay.
Who's applying?
Anybody who wants to.
So people who previously applied plus new.
That's, the mayor has the motion, so is that what your intention is?
No, I would like to limit it to the prior applicants and then ranked choice voting.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to limit the appointment process to candidates who have only already applied. So we're not gonna reopen the application process, we're only going to look at the applications that we've already received and use a ranked choice voting process in order to determine who will be appointed. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'll second that.
The motion was made by Mayor Snow with a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza. I will now conduct the roll to go on the record. Councilmember Heredia.
I'm voting on her one?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Councilmember Altamirano.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Yes.
Mayor Snow.
Aye.
Motion fails.
Now we have the original motion, and the original motion is to open up the application process to all who would like to apply and go back through the appointment process as we did it before. Is that correct?
Yes, and do we get to deliberate?
Yes, you can deliberate. You have a motion and a second.
Okay, I want, I don't know.
So going back to the original motion, the motion was made by Councilmember Heredia with a second by Councilmember Altamirano. I will now conduct the roll.
I wanted to deliberate.
Sorry, Clerk. Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza, do you have any comment?
No, not really. I understand the motions.
Councilmember Heredia?
Yeah, I just want to, put it on the record that I think that if we can, approve this motion, that it will be the best option for us moving forward as far as giving it one more shot. It allows for more candidates to apply. It also allows for candidates that maybe don't want to apply that have apply. It seems like the most fairest, next step. So I just want to advocate for that, and I hope that you can, see it that way as well. Thank you.
Would that include the same process that we used the first? So,
I mean, yeah, I'm not in favor of ranked choice voting, especially without us having like a full discussion and changing that ordinance. I mean, I'd be willing to hear an ordinance change in the future, but yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Altamirano?
I would consider, opening up the application to both new and past applicants with a ranking, which is a combination of what's on the floor.
You would have to do a supplement motion. With that, unless you want to amend, unless you want to change the original motion.
Understanding it, so.
No, I understand.
So we would have a hybrid of Mayor Snow's motion and a hybrid of your motion. So pretty much instead of only opening it up to the previous applicants, this would include new applicants and a ranking.
Ranked choice, ranked choice voting.
Mhm.
I will amend my motion to allow that, to have the rank, because I can tell that these two aren't gonna vote for it otherwise, so. I'll be the compromise.
I'll second that.
Okay, So the motion on the floor is to open up the appointment process to all applicants who would like to apply, including those who have applied in the past, and any new applicants who would like to apply, and use a ranked choice voting system in order to determine if you can fill the seat.
So, for my comments on this, I think to the extent that we're going to open this up to new applicants, I think the town hall idea is a good idea to give the community the opportunity to come up and ask questions, and kind of vet for themselves who they think, would be a good candidate. I also am interested on what kind of questions the community feels is important. And so to the extent that we're going to have new candidates, it's also gonna require additional interviews. And I really like the idea of a town hall format or questions submitted by the community, to be asked at the dais. But I think that would be helpful, for the community to help evaluate and provide their public comment. And I appreciate the ones who did come out before and provided public comment at the last round. But we need to make sure it's fair, and we need to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to be interviewed as well. So if we're going to do this, I would propose that we include either a town hall component or questions submitted by the community to be asked.
I'm gonna make a suggestion, and you don't have to accept my suggestion. If you're willing to move forward with or vote on the motion that's in front of us, we can vote on that, and then we can discuss procedure of how to conduct the interviews. If not, then you're going to have to make a supplemental motion to, unless they wanna amend their motion again.
To me, it just makes sense to move on with this motion and then just give direction as to the questions being asked to make it fair for all the candidates. And whether that's, community input or a forum.
That may make a difference for your colleagues.
At this time, can we just make a recommendation, to have you do what you did today and just come back to us with, now we've kind of limited this from about 9 different options to about 2 or 3 options, and kind of fill this out more completely, so that we can better understand the logistics of this. So you kind of have where the council is going on this and where we might have areas of compromise. Can you bring us back options that kind of fill those maybe 3 top options?
We can do that. We have a motion and a second on the floor, so you have to have the maker of the motion move that, and then, agree to provide us with that direction, and you can discuss that amongst yourselves, how you would like to move forward.
Is that something you would consider?
I would like to move forward with the motion and then discuss how to go about it, just to get this item completed. I think that we can come to an agreement as far as making it fair for all the candidates and questions. I'm willing to be flexible on that.
Clerk, will you take the roll?
The motion on the floor was made by Councilmember Heredia, seconded by Councilmember Altamirano. I will now conduct the roll to go on the record. Councilmember Altamirano.
Is that a motion, but,
Councilmember Heredia.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Aye.
Mayor Snow.
No.
The motion carries on a vote of 3-1.
Now, I'll let the city manager discuss
I
that.
think we're on the same thought process. Is there any further discussion? Because we're gonna have to bring back, a timeline to the city council based on, the direction we have been given. Do you want us to add some options for process, like how is the town hall going to work? How we would solicit community questions, those things that you think may be important, so you can make the final decision at the next?
Yes, I would like further details on the process. I like the idea of a town hall, and working out the logistics on that to allow for conversation. the people who previously applied, like, we can still consider their applications from before and make them not have to fill out paperwork again.
Question about the town hall, would that be, so the public would get to ask them questions, generally speaking, would it be like one question per thing, right, is my thought? And then we just kind of base our choice off of like the feedback we're feeling like we're getting from the town hall? How does that part come into it?
We'd have to design the process.
Yeah.
So I can't answer your question right now.
Okay,
But we could come back with some options on the town hall
Okay.
with a design process. I'm sure there are some cities out in California that have done it, that have that experience.
Yeah.
And with the combination of my research and the Kirk's research, we'll come back with some
Yeah.
options on how that would work.
I like that.
So you guys are better informed to
Okay.
discuss how that will happen.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if it was, they're trying to pitch it or we're trying to dig it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say one thing, to consider, you know, that we've done in the past is you have, it's kind of like speaker slips, but maybe have people fill their question out on a 3x5 card. It's anonymous, but it's people in the community. And then it's not repetitive. You know, sometimes people have the same question about, you know, so you lump the questions together. So, you know, it might be something that you can have the city clerk do, or, someone else, in the city, you know, sort of gather the, maybe, you know, our personnel directors, human resources. So, yeah, that's just some thoughts. And then two, you don't have to, I would say previous applicants don't have to go through all the questions, they don't need to. And, you know, or just give them an opportunity to add something that they think they can offer.
Any other thoughts before we move on to the next item? Councilmember Altamirano?
I support you guys' choices, and I agree with Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza regarding previous applicants not to have to fill out another application. This process is hard enough as it is, so we just, if you guys would be considered, that would be amazing. But yeah, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Have we given you enough direction on those items?
Yeah, we'll come back with recommendations and we can have a more robust discussion at the next meeting. Thank you.
Now we'll move on to item number 3, review of the Lemon Grove evacuation plan. We'll call on our fire chief, Ben Coe, to present the report.
Good evening, Mayor Snow, respected members of the City Council.
Actually, can I interrupt you for just a moment? I think we could take a 5-minute break. Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. We'll take a quick 5-minute recess.
Oh, yeah.
I see you popping in here and there at other things, so it's not like I don't ever see you, but it's been a little bit. And I appreciate your comment about the portion of the work.
Thank you for caring so much.
I know.
So I said one action.
One is recording on her phone, and I already hard upload that to YouTube, because the Facebook changed their policy, and the live streaming out there 30 days. You can download it, but I've not been successful getting it to download, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong, I got to search that, but my iPhone has broke. And so, first meeting that'll have to be doing.
Are you looking at one of these?
No. Not that hard.
I'm not sure it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, how are you? How are you?
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. Look at
I was a fireman, I wasn't fucking, I was just, just next door. That way, if it wasn't across the street.
And that was something like that, you would think, or for the community,
But yeah,
having
everything works out great. So, looking forward to tomorrow. Take care.
we have the really intensive learning back here, I would teach, because I'm in the back of the room and I travel. Well, that's true. Especially something, you know, we can learn in the morning.
That's actually something that's good. To identify.
Yeah.
Early on, that's kind of fires. Everybody's range or wiped out. All the notifications got stacked up, so once there's some cell search came back down, they were all stacked up, and then all of those are the same.
Right.
Timestamps.
Yeah, I know.
No, I know this. Because I come from that, you know, I was the activist. I'm all for that, and, you know, I
saw where it was.
Yeah, I know that. You go back and see if I did the video. Do audio alone. My PhD, my mind does not sit with this. Yeah. And I don't know the people, so I wouldn't know who's talking.
So we were gonna call it
Right. Yeah. Where we're at. Yeah.
All right, time's up. Call the council back up.
Oh my God, my neck, my back. I'm sorry, just kidding.
All right, I don't know if they can hear me.
Speed those things up.
All right, we're back on the record, and we are on item number 3. This is related to the Lemon Grove evacuation plan, and we're turning the time over to our fire chief and co. Oh, one moment.
Before we move on, while we were taking a break and during our last discussion, I did look up a question about, the election that may take place during, the regularly scheduled election, and how do you determine how the 2-year seat is filled? And the answer is that you can designate a seat on a ballot so that the terms remain staggered as a 2-year seat. The 3 seats that are open would be on the ballot. The lowest vote getter would be the 2-year seat. So if you're filling 3 seats, the top 2 vote getters get the 4-year seats, and the lowest vote getter gets the 2-year seat. Does that answer the question?
Can you say it again? Because I felt like you were saying like you could do it where you called it out as a special identified seat.
I wasn't sure.
Okay.
So when I looked it up.
Yeah, that's not true.
You don't call it out as a special seat.
Okay.
It's whoever gets the least votes fills that 2-year seat.
Okay.
But it would show on the ballot that one of those seats is for 2 years only.
And it would explain that?
It would likely explain that the lowest vote getter gets
That's
the.
fair. Yeah.
Okay.
You ready?
Third time, hopefully it's gonna work out this time.
Here we go. Thank you, Chico.
Good evening, Mayor Snow, respected members of the council, city staff, and public. I am gonna provide a brief presentation on Lemon Grove High Fire Risk Area Draft Evacuation Plan. So it's very much a high-level overview. as I mentioned, I'm the fire chief for Harlan Fire and Rescue Service in the cities of El Cajon, La Mesa, and Lemon Grove. Harlan Fire and Rescue's mission is to provide safe communities through exceptional professional service. And as one of the ways to carry out our mission, we identified a goal of creating resilient communities. This is really something that was highlighted during the LA firestorm. This is something that we need to do. So especially this being Fire Prevention Week and we're following National Preparedness Month, figured that this would be very appropriate to present the draft evacuation map to you, and we will then post it on Heartland Fire and Rescue's website as well as the city's website. I do need to make sure that I give recognition to Heartland Fire and Rescue's Emergency Preparedness Coordinator, Andy McKellar, who put this plan together. So, quick background, how this came about. This plan is specific to high fire risk areas within the city of Lemon Grove. And let's go to the next slide, thank you. It's a little difficult to see, but this is a fire hazards area zone map that CAL FIRE updated. I believe it is in April of 2025, and the city had to adopt it by ordinance. And the plan here is specifically identifying the area that is in the high fire risk area for the city of Lemon Grove and the adjacent areas. It is general in nature and identifies main roadways that may be utilized in the event of an evacuation becomes necessary. More detailed instructions as to which specific roads and the direction evacuation should take will be dictated by the situation at the time of the when the evacuation order is given. It provides a framework for the city of Lemon Grove's response to extraordinary emergency situations associated with natural, man-made, and technological disasters. Next slide. There's 5 specific areas that are covered in the plan. Evacuation data, decisions to evacuate, public notifications, actions to be taken, and procedures and responsibilities to carry out those actions. This plan does not address ordinary emergencies, as I mentioned, or establish routine procedures to use to cope with such incidents. Rather, this plan concentrates on operational concepts and response procedures related to large-scale emergencies and disasters. This plan is flexible enough to be used in all types of emergencies and will facilitate an appropriate response. Next slide, please. So what I do want to talk about briefly is this is very, very important for all of us to know. There's a couple different ways to be notified when somebody needs to evacuate. The 2 platforms that are widely used in the county right now are Genesis Protect, that is an application, and it's one of the working tools that emergency managers, EOCs, law enforcement, fire agencies use. One of the downsides of this, it is an opt-in platform. So for public to receive notifications, they have to download the app, and then they will receive the notifications. It is a web-based evacuation disaster information system, and it can be utilized during local emergencies. Another option that is available is WIA, which is Wireless Emergency Alert System. That does not require anybody to opt in, and that will be pushed out by law enforcement agencies. So anybody who has a cell phone and is within a geofenced area will receive notification. And last but not least, there's Alert San Diego to stay aware of what's happening. And that is one-way communication. They're not gonna be pushing out information, but it is a source of information that has been validated and is managed by the county Office of Emergency Services. Next slide, please. And this is a screenshot of the Genesis Protect system. Basically, it provides information on what's going on, if there are evacuation orders, if there's evacuation warnings, but also when there's repopulation taking place, it provides that information. And it provides demographic information, how large of a population is impacted, and it really helps emergency managers and incident commanders to figure out what the logistical needs are gonna be for evacuation centers and to support the evacuation efforts. And that's really the end of my presentation right now, so I'd like to open it up if there's any questions for me.
All right, we do have one speaker slip on this item, Truth.
Hi there. I appreciate an evacuation plan being presented because every other city is failing to do this. But for fun, I do want to point this out because I got one of these free brochures. And what I'm learning is that your entire house is a fire hazard because you have lithium products. So how is the nighttime population only 1,762? Does nobody come back to Lemon Grove to sleep? Where would the emergency medical and fire suppression supplies be kept? Do the hydrants have water? Should we ask Newscom about the empty reserves and empty hydrants? How would deputies expedite the movement of people? How about helicopters? I haven't seen that happen because you're not gonna get anywhere faster on a car, or public transit, or bike, or walking. Where are the water sources upon mountaintops for faster fire suppression? Can we get CEQA exemption for using people's swimming pool water? Because that has not happened in the past either. The county was failing to have helicopters that could fight fires at night. Joel Anderson recently claimed that they just bought some, but they have not confirmed if they are actually working because the last ones weren't. What would Public Works remove any stalled or broken cars down from the roadway with? What machine? What if they couldn't access the road? The transportation points are good, but Treganza Park is near the trolley. What if the trolley was on fire? Or there was an incident near the sheriff's station, like La Mesa, circa 2020. A lack of power and potable water is not a legitimate reason for an incident commander to stop people from returning to an area. I've lived without water and electricity. It sucks, but it's not dangerous. And who is the incident commander? Should their name be listed here if they're going to have unprecedented dictatorial powers? Also beware the County Office of Emergency Services, because the current head, County Minion Chris Heisler, is a liar. He was proud of himself that he kept people home with his fake hurricane. That was 2024. Cal Fire Chief Dave McQueen is no better. At a Sand Dyke Public Safety meeting, when I pointed out the county's broken fire helicopters, he tried to shove it under the carpet. And then at a County Board of Supervisors meeting, when hundreds questioned how he deemed a 2-lane road facing hundreds more housing units being shoved into their neighborhoods as a safe evacuation route, he had the audacity to claim there's nothing that could be done. So now there's even more risk on a development backed by a convicted felony fraudster. What matters? Where are the evacuation routes? Are they locked or unlocked? What's the alert system? Because not everybody wants to download an app or even has a phone. There's not even cell service during emergencies, so there needs to be physical alarms. What if emergency vehicles can't get through the streets for a PA system? Consider the threats of battery energy storage sites, both fire and toxic smoke, as companies such as SDG&E have plans for over 20 new fire facilities. and put on emergency safety and prevention town hall so people know what to expect. Set up booths with information at local events. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we will, move, I'll turn some time over to staff to be able to address some of those issues presented.
Fire Chief, I think you can handle most of the questions that were raised by the public commenter.
And I'm going back to state that the specific plan was identifying just the high fire risk area that was identified during the fire hazard severity zone map adoption. Because of wildfires, they're dynamic, unlike hurricanes or tsunamis. We don't know which way we're gonna have to direct public at the time, and so we need to make sure that we have identified the routes that are viable, but as far as specific directions go, those are gonna be incident driven. As far as notifications go, beyond the wireless notifications, our law enforcement partners have the responsibility of assisting us with the evacuation. So there are opportunities either to drive down the roads and go from house to house to house, or using the high-low siren that was specifically identified recently for evacuation purposes. Or, as in the past, we have used also fire engines, and we have had staff on foot going from door to door. So it's gonna be very much situation driven. The goal is to try to get ahead of it, try to provide plenty of time for public to evacuate and to get out of harm's way. Sometimes that's not an option, and sometimes we have to go what's called rescue mode.
Thank you, Chief. If the clerk can go back to, slide 15. One more. There you go. That little area where it's, orange, that is along the 94. Most of it is in La Mesa. A small portion of it is in, Leavengrove. That is where the numbers are coming from for the plan. It's not the entirety of the city, it's really the high severity areas for this particular location. And that's what this plan addresses, is really something very specific in our town. I have had conversations with the fire chief and our EOC director, and we're gonna be working on more robust plans in the future, so we don't turn out to be Paradise, California, or Palisades in LA County. And I think you also had the question is, who is the EOC director with all omniscient powers? In an emergency, that falls on the city manager in every city in California using the SIM system. So I am the EOC director, but the policy issues will then turn over to the policy board, which will be the city council, to make some policy directions. So, and that is pretty standard in emergency management system anywhere in the United States. They don't have a chief administrative officer, they have appointed a chief administrative officer, or the fire chief can handle that, or deputy chief. So, and that's, again, a standardized emergency operation procedure nationwide.
All right, thank you so much. Do we have any council comments on this item? Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza?
So I think it was 22 years ago, I looked out my kitchen window and Mount Miguel was on fire. I gotta tell you, we started packing up and getting ready to evacuate, towards Coronado. I figured that was the safest place to go. So, you know, this seems like, oh, you know, Lemon Grove, you know, we're in the middle of the city, wildfire can't get to us. I'm gonna tell you, it got really, really close. So you're the EOC director, and are you also the emergency preparedness coordinator, or do we have another staff person designated?
That is Mr. McKellar.
Okay, all right, I'm just
try to put, that all together. And then is the emergency operation, and I'm getting this from the report, the actual report that we got. Is the emergency operations center, is that City Hall? Or-
That is gonna be also somewhat situation driven. There is an emergency operations center, room at the fire administration building.
Oh, okay.
However, we've also talked about and collaborated with our neighboring cities. There might be times when it's more appropriate to set up or stand up an EOC because of the situation, potentially in La Mesa or even El Cajon. We don't wanna have the emergency operations center in the middle of the disaster
Right.
where we might end up having to evacuate the emergency operations center. We wanna make sure that the emergency operations center can actually operate in a safe, condition.
And Mayor Pro Tem, to add on to that, what the chief is saying, the three cities are working together to come up with sort of a seamless plan. Because to sustain a long-term emergency, you're gonna need staff. And having done that in my career, it is very trying and very daunting of staff, and they work 12 shifts until, the incident is either come to a conclusion or ends. And so, because of our light staffing, I know I'm gonna depend on my partners in La Mesa and El Cajon to cross staff. So we're working on a larger plan that will talk about the region and how we can support each other. So for example, if I'm in town and the city manager of El Cajon is in town, we can back each other up, if his assistant's out, as the EOC director, to give some, continuity for staffing for the region.
Yeah, because we just heard from the city council member, from the Pacific Palisades area at the RISC, conference last week. She spoke, and I had forgotten that the mayor, was out of town. And the council, none of the council members knew that the mayor was out of town. They were, and not that the mayor should have to tell everybody she's going out of town, but these things happen. And one thing that, this council member did bring up was how important communications are during a fire, because, sometimes the power, the power lines are gonna go out, and then you're gonna lose communications. So, I'm glad to see that there's, that's part of the plan. As far as the evacuation points that were mentioned here, we might also consider, you might consider talking with the school district, because there are, the school auditorium is pretty large, or even some of the, school fields. If, it's just a thought, I don't know if you've thought about that, like adding some additional evacuation points, and I think that's all questions.
Thank you. Yes, we have considered the schools, and they're definitely something, at the time, when we know what the needs are, we can, reach out and expand. So, like I said, right now, I just wanted to keep it somewhat broad, and, with the understanding that we can scale it to what our needs are gonna be at the time.
Thank you.
Councilmember Heredia? Thank you. Thank you so much for this presentation. It's very important in today's times. I wanted to piggyback off what, Councilmember Pro Tem Mendoza said about, I really appreciate that you're looking at, evacuation places outside of the city, because I did live in Lakeside near, Wildcat Canyon Road during Cedar Fire. And those embers were just flying everywhere, so our 3-mile town is susceptible to really having some major problems if that were to repeat itself in history here. And so we wouldn't have probably a great evacuation spot in the case of that magnitude, which hopefully we never do. My questions are, that severity zone that we're pointing out on the 94 corridor there, that's mostly La Mesa, Is there a way to maybe mail a magnet that gives them this information to those residences, since they're the most vulnerable? I know, like, I have a sheriff one that I put on my fridge for like non-emergency, and so whenever I can't, you know, whenever I need to use that, I know right where to go, it's on my fridge, you know? So I was thinking maybe we could have some kind of magnet that we could get to the resident, not to everybody, because I know that's costly, but maybe to the people in that area, you know? So that we know they're informed.
Yes, I'm looking at the city manager, she's nodding her head, and
Yeah,
then we definitely
fine.
have the ability.
Okay, cool. Or even a mail or something. And then, just to clarify, you did mention that, out of those 2 alert systems, there was, one of them, I think you said you just need a cell phone and be inside of the geofence. Which one was it, or is it both of those?
So the one that I mentioned, it wasn't on the slide.
Oh.
It is in the plan.
Okay.
It's called WIA, Wireless Emergency Alert System.
What is it?
Wireless Emergency Alert System.
Okay.
And it is the law enforcement communication centers who are usually responsible for sending out that messaging.
Okay. Thank you, appreciate that clarification.
Any other further comment? All right, thank you so much for an incredible presentation and for really making our citizens safe here in Lemon Grove, so we really appreciate it.
Thank you. This is partnership and collaboration.
Thank you so much. I'd like to know what our, sometime in the future, but just a side comment, in the event of earthquake. We've experienced a flood now and a hurricane, and, even if it was a big one. And we've seen fire. I think most of us have lived some places near fire, but I am not clear on what happens in the event of an earthquake, what the procedures are there, so I'd love a little, something like this on that. All right, so that concludes item number 3. And now we will move on to city council reports on meetings attended at the expense of the city. We'll start with, Councilmember Heredia.
What do you wanna do?
Reports on where meetings.
Oh, I
were
thought we were
attended.
doing 1D.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, sorry, I was
It's
like,
on my little
wait,
thing,
I go
so
first on
skipped
1D,
it.
I didn't pull it.
All right, thank you. So what we will do now is move to item number 1D, which was a consent agenda item. It was pulled by, Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza, and so does the city want to report on this, or should we turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza?
Can we have Ms. Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza, share her ideas? She shared them with me, but I think the full council needs to weigh in.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Yeah, so, generally, if we plan to, conduct interviews on November 4, we could possibly have a 5th council member, correct? What's the timing on?
The probability is no on November 4th, because we're coming back at the next council meeting, which is October 21, to talk about process and set deadlines, so you won't have a 5th council member, conceivably until December, if not January.
Okay, so, well, my suggestion is that we move this until after we, appoint a 5th council member. Because I'm hopeful now that we can, appoint a 5th council member. And, how many planning commission meetings, is Mike still here, or did he leave?
Mr.
Oh, man, yeah.
I just released him to go home, He wanted to see his kids before they went to bed.
Okay.
But I can tell you that there is going to be a planning commission meeting in October. We don't envision, a planning commission meeting in December. And most likely, we, cancel the one in December, and we don't think we're gonna have one in, November. But that could change depending on where some applications are, and an appeal hearing that that the planning commission will be considering.
I don't wanna put them in the same, position we're in. So, could we bring this, if it's okay with everyone, could we bring this back, like early November? And
That's up to the council's wisdom. We can delay it and bring it back to set a new timeline, for the planning commission. That is really entirely up to the council.
because the likelihood, if we, even though this term ends on June 30, 2026, if we appoint someone, in, say, maybe December, or even January, it's likely, unless it's just, the person isn't working out, it's pretty likely that we would reappoint them, in June. So, yeah, that's just kind of my thought on this, that if we put it off to December or January, then we'd have 5 council members making the decision instead of 4. And not, risk, another stalemate on who we appoint. So, that's just my thought.
Any comments from council on that? Okay, so, I'll make a motion to go ahead and continue this to the, first meeting in November. To continue item number 1D, to the first meeting in November.
Okay, I'll second that.
The motion was made by Mayor Snell, with a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza to continue the matter to the first meeting in November. I will now conduct the roll on the record. Councilmember Altamirano. Councilmember Heredia.
I'm sorry, you guys. Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Aye.
Mayor Snell.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, now we'll do the city council reports on meetings attended at the expense of the city. Councilmember Heredia?
Okay, I attended a East County, Economic Development meeting at Rosemont College on, September 17th, where Graham Mitchell, our former council member, or, city manager, gave a, really nice presentation on some of the things that they're doing there, in their community. Some of it was AI-based, and, they definitely have a, pulse on, economic development there. I attended on September 19th, the East County Chamber of Coffee Connect at, Lemon Grove Coffee, and business owners here in this neighborhood were, networking, connecting. It was really cool to witness, and I went with, Councilmember Altamirano, and it was neat to watch them network. The neighborhood, Ann Stapleton from the neighborhood was there. We were talking to her and the, chamber, CEO about how we should have a coffee connect at the neighborhood, and they are this month, so that's gonna be good. If you have a business in Lemon Grove, I highly recommend you attend, or anywhere for that matter. On September 19th, I attended the Sandag Safety Committee meeting, and they talked about opioid use disorder training, that, they are partnering with. The crime rates for 2024 and the ARGIS and, updates are on their website, if anybody's, interested in seeing the crime rates around town and in the different categories of what crimes were committed and where. They also gave us a presentation about ARGIS and ICE, and they confirmed that there is no, facial recognition, information given out to federal. It's actually it's SB 54. It's not legal for them to share that information with federal, agents. So I thought I'd, share that with you. On September 20th, I was at the Sunshine House where the Lemon Grove Forward Club is doing a restoration project of their original clubhouse, and community members came out, including Councilmember Altamirano, and we are restoring it, so it's really cool. It's an over 100-year-old building, and it was the Forward Club's original clubhouse. On 9/21, I attended St. John's Catholic Church Lemon Fest with Mayor Snow, and we had a great time. We got to judge all the lemon desserts, and believe it or not, we pretty much agreed. On 9/22 and September 27th, I went to the Spouts Appreciation Week, and I cooked for their staff, and Councilmember Altamirano helped me with one of those shifts. I did 4 shifts. Then on September 23, I went to a joint chamber event. It was the La Mesa Chamber and the Santee Chamber. They celebrated Lantern Crest Legacy Units. That is the legacy, Lantern Crest is a retirement home. It's a very well-to-do retirement home, and I highly recommend go checking it out if you ever get the opportunity, because it's really cool. But one of the things that they're doing that I thought was very neat and separates them from other retirement communities is these legacy condos are where you can actually buy this condo and you live in it as your retirement home, and they've got all the facilities within the community, but you can actually will it to your family. So it's a legacy unit, and that's pretty cool because you can't do that anywhere else that I know of. Then I attended on September 30th a fundraiser for Feeding the Flock. It's a food-based ministry outreach that services low-income families, children, seniors, veterans, and a homeless food bank in La Mesa. And then today, me and Councilmember Altamirano, we met with School Board President Javier Ayala, and we talked about AI education, which we'd already spoken about in one of our joint meetings that we had recently with the school district, and we're trying to partner with them to bring AI and kind of make Lemon Grove an AI educational hub. So look forward to that. That's we're going to be putting that on the agenda here soon to have a presentation, and that's what I got to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Herdian. Next, we have Councilmember Altamirano.
On September 17th, is this on?
No, it's not.
On September 17th, I attended the East County Economic Development Board meeting along with Councilmember Radia and Mayor Snow. It was a very informative meeting. I learned a lot about different businesses in the city of El Cajon. Graham Mitchell gave a presentation, and it was really neat to learn about their drone program that they have at their El Cajon Police Department, and how they're using that to fight crime, and how it helps avoid chase, like vehicle chases, car chases, and therefore potential accidents, or just it's a much calmer interaction with the potential thief. They have these drones all over the city, including some parks and recreation centers, and so they get dispatched anytime there's a call. Sometimes the suspect doesn't even know he's being followed. So I thought that was pretty cool. Something else that I learned that really interested me was the fact that the city of El Cajon has hired a company to download all of their ordinances and zoning in regards to development and planning. So if a family wanted to build an ADU, they don't have to hire an architect or hire a planner to help submit those plans to the city. This AI company has all of their requirements, and they just communicate with them what it is that they want. They look up the code and they submit it all at once. There's no going back and forth. And I thought that was really, really good for, the city of El Cajon, and something that I would be interested in hopefully someday having here for our community. On, same day, 9/17, I met with Public Works team at their Public Works yard, and also Matt Krasinski. They shared concerns about added work from homeless encampments, the cleanup. They also shared concerns about the $85,000 per month stipend or grant that we were supposed to get. I had no idea what that was all about, but they did say that they were never briefed, despite requesting numerous appointments and meetings with Portland Bates and city manager about giving their feedback, because they have had a lot of added work. They want to be made part of the conversation. And being a business owner, for me, I feel like it's important that every team member speaks to other departments so that we can work together to make sure that everyone's being heard and that we are making everybody's jobs easier. And really that is why I'm here. Like, how can I make our community members' lives easier, as well as our staff? On 9/19, I attended a Coffee Connect with Councilmember Heredia and the East County Chamber of Commerce. It was nice just seeing all the community members, even other business owners from outside of Lemon Grove, come and connect with other business owners here. And same day, I attended the food distribution truck unloading. So my children and myself went to the rec center and helped unload the truck for the food distribution the next day, which I also attended, and delivered 30 meals to the seniors at Centronica. Same day, I attended the trash dump event hosted by the city of Lemon Grove, which was a really, really popular event. I heard it was very successful. A lot of people were happy to get rid of their junk. And as well, the same day, I attended the Sunshine remodeling and cleanup. It's coming out really, really nice. You guys are doing an amazing job. On 9/21, I attended the Lemon Grove Business Association meeting at Lemon Grove Cafe as well. On 9/22, I volunteered to cook for Sprouts Employees Appreciation Week. On 9/25, I attended a tour at a place called One Safe Place South. It is a justice center that provides services to victims of abuse. There's currently a center in North County in the city of San Marcos. There's another one in downtown, and they're gonna inaugurate on October 17th, one center in National City. It was pretty amazing to come into the center and to experience all the different facilities that they have and the services that they'll be providing to victims and their families. They have partnered up with Rady's Children's Hospital, and they have clinics, they have a legal department, they have a police department on site, they have a therapist on site, they have washers, dryers, they even have a room, which is like a closet. It's very nicely decorated for people that just need the essentials to just live another day. It's like a one-stop shop, and it is only 10 minutes from Lemon Grove, and I feel that it is an amazing space, a safe space for people that have endured just really horrible experiences, including their families who are also affected. And let's see, on October 3rd, I met with a business owner that does a lot of business here in Lemon Grove, and she was inquiring about opportunities. I also met with Seth Smith that day at Lemon Grove Cafe, and today I met with Javier Ayala regarding bringing the AI program to the city of Lemon Grove. We discussed economic development opportunities, community workforce opportunities, and we also spoke about the possibility, what if Lemon Grove was not just a digital hub, but one of these big data centers. Imagine the amount of revenue that would bring it. bring in. It's like upwards of $200 million. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza?
On September 19, I attended the Sandag Transportation Committee meeting. This was actually a joint meeting with Transportation, Regional Planning, and Borders. We reviewed the 2025 Regional Plan update. September 20, I attended the Lemon Grove Food Distribution, and on the 20th and 21st, St. John's, I actually worked at St. John's Fall Festival. And I wanted to give a shout out to our city manager for having a table at the Fall Festival this year, and to the staff that attended with her. They were there most of the weekend, and that was a first for the city. But I think it was, they got a lot of, well, she can talk about it more in her report, but it was much appreciated. And now I think the school children want to look into having a booth at the bonfire. So, you know, it's good for us to be there and them to be, you know, more involved with the city. September 23rd, I met with Peter Kennedy, who's a labor representative for the railroad mechanics and engineers with MTS. On September 24, I attended the Sandag Mobility, actually I'm the chair of the Sandag Mobility Working Group, and I shared this information with the city manager. We talked about the federal rescission of California's Clean Air Act waivers and how that could possibly affect the city. Our TIP projects. And we also got the annual progress report on the Transnet Local Streets and Roads program. Then October 1st through the 3rd, I attended the JPIA, which is the California Joint Powers Insurance Agency Educational Forum. I am the city's representative on that board. And I sent you all my notes on that. It really is a very educational forum. Then on October 4, I attended Interfaith Shelter Network planning meeting for the last, I think it's their 30th anniversary. For the last 25 years, the St. John's has been hosting a homeless shelter in Lemon Grove, and we'll be doing it again this year. I don't give out the dates because we try to keep it. I do let the sheriff's department know. And then I want to say I was at a totally unrelated party. Actually, my friend's nephew graduated from the Marine Corps boot camp, so we had a little party for him. And I sat down next to a man who said, "Oh, you're a Lemon Grove City Council member. I'm a solar power contractor." And I'm like, "Oh, great, here we go." And he said, "You know, I just got a permit in the city of Lemon Grove, and I work all over San Diego County, and I got to tell you, it went very smoothly and quickly, and he had nothing but great things to say." Again, I wish Mike Fellows was here, but you can pass the information on to him. So it was nice to hear someone else who, he had nothing to gain from telling me this, but it was nice to hear a compliment. And then the final thing is, I thought that at the last meeting, we asked that we address the homeless trash and encampment issues, and you know, address this in your comments about this $84,000. Like you mentioned it earlier, it's one time in 3 years, not a monthly thing. And so explain how that works again. But we did allocate, I thought we allocated $250,000 towards homeless solutions, and we and
clarify this, please, later. But, I know we discussed, spending that money on homelessness prevention, but I would like to see us, I asked 2 weeks ago that we revisit that 250,000 and talk about what we can do now to address, the trash issue and, enforcing our encampment ordinance with that 200. I mean, it's not just we didn't just allocate money. We allocated money from the budget, unless I'm wrong, and we also allocated money, at the suggestion of the tax, our tax, community tax, sales tax advisors. That's all.
On September 19th, or September 17th, I attended the East County Economic Development Council. On September 18th, I attended a meeting to prepare for a program called Success Inside and Out. We go down to Las Colinas Jail, with the National Association of Women Judges and other elected officials and, community-based organizations, and help women prepare for reentry into, regular civilian life. I also attended the Lemon Grove Farmers Market that same day. On September 19th, I attended the East County Chamber Connect at the tail end of it over at Lemon Grove Coffee, and also participated in the Lemon Grove food distribution, packing up the items to get ready for the next day. And then the next day, on Saturday, September 20th, I helped participate at the Lemon Grove food distribution, and I'm now starting a new Mayor's Park podcast, where the first participant was City Kitty. She got up there and took the chair, just like a queen would. Next, on September 21st, I attended the Lemon Grove St. John's Fall Festival, and also got to participate in the Lemon Bake Off, and that one street tower thing was really impressive. There was one cake that was like, wow. And unnatural color of green, but still tasted real good. Next I also attended that same day, the Lemon Grove Business Association. So we have a nascent business association that's coming together, and I'd like to honor the newly elected president that's here with us today, is Stanley from the Grosero Tattoo Shop. We're really excited to have this. It's a big step forward for the Lemon Grove business community to be able to work together. One of the guest speakers was our Michael Fellows, and he was there to come and listen to the needs and concerns of our business community. So I really like this relationship that we're starting to build and grow here in our community, and I'm proud of our businesses for really banding together. It's an impressive step forward, and hopefully will be a precursor to really re-envisioning how that downtown area looks. Next, I attended on September 23rd a meeting with the County Board of Supervisors staff, Joshua Dunn, to get an update on some of the things that were going on in the county that impact Lemon Grove. On September 25th, I attended a meeting with a group of people who are interested in bringing indoor soccer for our children. It's a partnership with San Diego FC, and they have community coaches who are players on San Diego FC. Sounded really cool. So I'm excited to see what that might look like for our community, and see if we can find some space here for them. That's one of the gaps that we have in our community. We have an incredible Little League, and we've got some real players in this town. I'll say it again, the Lemon Grove Little League made it again to the World Series. We're kind of a big deal, and we've got some incredible soccer players in this town, but we do not have our own, like, even AYSO soccer league for Lemon Grove. So I'd like to see and bring soccer opportunities to our youth. Also that same day, I attended the Sandag Social Equity Working Group, which I chair. There they brought the region's climate action plan forward to talk about the goals, the planning goals, the regional planning goals through 2035. So there are some great things coming, but there's a lot of things where we had to put a pin on it, just because how exponentially expensive things are at this current time. On September 26th, I attended the Sandak Board of Directors meeting. I also attended the North County Lifeline event called Viva La Vida. North County Lifeline provides a lot of services, everything from workforce development to housing to all kinds of resources for people in the community. And even though it's called North County Lifeline, like anybody can use it. It's a countywide program. And so that was a really incredible event. On September 29th, I had a meeting with the head of the Regional Task Force on Homelessness, Tamara Kohler, and Paulette Martinez, to get a status update on the encampment resolution program that we're running. That's the $8.4 million grant that's helping to house people. I know that City Manager Romero talked a little bit about this before. The $8.4 million grant is incredible for the fact that it's housing plus services for the most vulnerable. So there's 102 spots that provide guaranteed housing and services for a full year, and then if you're not able to have your needs met and move into permanent housing at that point, you can be extended up to another year. But these are like chronically homeless folks, the people who, other people, you know, when they're thinking about homelessness, they're like, they don't want help. It's not that they don't want help. They disproved that myth up in Oceanside. The same program rolled forward in Oceanside, a 91% placement rate. That's because they match the housing to the needs of the person. It's not rocket science, but what it is really expensive. People who need drug rehabilitation services get drug rehab. People who need mental health and behavioral health services will get it. People who need a Medi-Cal bed, maybe that's their first stop in housing, and they you know, they're diabetic, their diabetes are uncontrolled, which a lot of times manifests and looks sure a lot like a drug overdose, and they get the housing and resources they need. So that's the miracle of this program. The other part, and the city manager touched on this, is that it's by name. I want to talk about what it means to be known by your name when you're experiencing homelessness. Somebody knows who you are, somebody who knows who you specifically are by your name. They are able to help you meet your needs, not some generic, like, one-size-fits-all program. So each one of those people is known. The community cares about them. We have invested in them. And it's incredible to see the change that is being made in these people's lives. It's the kind of resources I wish were available a month prior, and maybe Irma Perez wouldn't have passed away. We have people who are dying right now, and we need these resources. So I'm very proud of the community effort that it's taken to get this off the landing board and into the community and actually working. It's a process of patience. While we are getting people enrolled, they are going to be in encampments, and so we're cleaning up the encampments as soon as the people are housed. So it kind of looks, it's like when you're doing spring cleaning, you just got to clean out all your cupboards, and so it's messy at first, and then it all gets cleaned up and it's better than when it started. That's kind of what we're going to expect to see here, but it is going to get better and better in real human ways. So we're very excited to see this, and it was really good to talk to the RTFH person. And it's pointed out where there's still need, as some of the comments we saw today is that there's people still out there who are not on that by name list, who weren't registered up for this program, and there's still need in the community. There's still so much work to be done. And until we can stop the flow of homelessness, like, it's going to continue. So I'm proud of the efforts that we're making, and we will, as a council, still be striving to find good solutions for this. Next, I met on October 1st. I had a Caltrans meeting with Ann Fox, Carina Sanchez, and Richard Covey to get an update on Caltrans in Lemon Grove. I also went to an event with the San Diego Chamber of Commerce called the Circle of Influence reception. It was held at Meta, and talked about resources and bringing businesses to Lemon Grove. I had the opportunity to talk with their CEO, Chris Cade, and he's going to come and attend, the Lemon Grove Business Association. So I think this is just the beginning of great things for our business community. Also, on October 1st, I attended the Senate Select Committee hearing on social determinants of health. It's a very sobering conversation. We had some incredible presentations. It was Senator Keila Weber Pearson brought it to our county. It was held over at San Diego State University. And a lot of this impacts Lemon Grove. The impact of where you were born and the specific zip code that you live in can mean that you live 10 years longer or 10 years less, just by your zip code. And so learning this and understanding that helps us to be better leaders as we try to find resources to be able to address those issues. On October 2nd, I attended a meeting with our local Broadway pharmacy regarding issues that they have with the permitting process. On October 4th, I went to the Majdal Community Center for their open house. And October 7th, today, I was able to participate on the jury selecting the Momentum Awards for Circulates. And that concludes mine. I'll now turn it over to the city manager for her report out.
First on a couple of things, I had a great time at the St. John booth and meeting residents, and it was the first time, and they we basically do what we do at the farmer's market, we're there every day. Long days, but it was fun to hear the music, and fun to see residents, and in fact, my counterpart over in Imperial Beach, her daughter was part of the political ballet that danced all day on Saturday, so it was really nice to see her and meet her family. I too was at the CJPA conference, and so there's a reason why you did not get the staff report that the council had directed. Just didn't have the time to think it through and look at it through with the cleanup aspect of it. Because that is really about looking at reallocating that $250 we had to keep people housed so they don't become homelessness, and what that looks like and what that program looks like. So that will be forthcoming as we move forward with the grant, and I just wanna make sure that the council doesn't conflate the work that is being done, the work that is being done with RTFH in certain areas of town, as the mayor just spoke about, because they've asked us expressly not to move those people, clean up around them, because they're gonna be moving those individuals into housing. If we move them, they lose them, and they will lose their housing. So, you know, again, it's really, like your term, a process of patience as we get those individuals housed. But we'll bring that item back. And then lastly, just wanted to say, and end on a good note, we have 2 nominees for the East County Chambers Women in Leadership Lunch. One of them is Mayor Allison Snow is one of the nominees. Congratulations. And Susanna Hales, our first female fire engineer, is a nominee, and very proud of her. She was one of the very few female firefighters when I got here in 2016. We have swollen the ranks just a tad bit in the other cities, but very proud of her. She will be the rank of captain, only female as captain, so, as engineer. I'm already promoting her chief, sorry. But very proud, so if you see Susanna out and about, give her a wave and congratulate her on her nomination. Well deserved. And with that, I'm gonna turn it back to the mayor.
Mayor, if I may, for the record, clarify something.
Yes, we'll have clarification from Councilmember Altamirano.
Just for the record, my meeting with Public Works, the concerns were about not just the $84,000 grant or allocation for cleanup, but also the $250,000 they had requested to meet with city manager and with Portland Bates regarding providing feedback as to their additional extra work that they have to do. So I just wanted to clarify, it wasn't only about the 84, but it was about the 250, and I did share that we were gonna bring it back to council for discussion and see how we can facilitate them providing feedback and maybe speaking or providing a presentation as to what their concerns are.
And thank you for reminding me about that. I made a little note on that. We do not have just very clear, we do not have $84,000 in the grant. That is not coming to Lemon Grove, that is our match. When they wanted to do the grant, they asked us for a match. That is the match, that is the estimate that I worked with the Public Works Director to say, when we do the weekly cleanups that we have been doing for the last 7 years, how much does it cost on an annual basis? We calculated the cost, by calculating the time, by calculating the dump cost, to come up with that $84,000. You're not getting that money, that is the in-kind service that we are doing, to leverage the grant. So, you don't get any money. We're gonna be doing the work, and that is the in-kind leverage service that we do. And we do that we do that largely for most of the grants we do. There is some kind of in-kind service, where it's staff time to implement the grant, staff time to work on the grant. That is the in-kind. Most grants always ask for some type of a match, either in-kind or monetary. And second of all, I checked with the Public Works Director, neither of us have ever received a request to talk about any money. So, my door is always open for my team, they know that, my folks, people walk in from whatever position that they're in, as long as my door is open, they can come in and talk to me about anything. So, I don't understand why they're having such difficulty making a meeting, because if I haven't heard anything about a meeting, Izzy hasn't heard anything about a meeting, they haven't asked us.
If I understood correctly, the request was made, to Portland Bates, and then he had told them that you would be the person to speak to. But if it's okay, I can get back to them and say, hey, go back, and if you guys want to request a presentation, I would be more than happy then to facilitate that.
Mr. Viskinski said that there's, I always screw up his last name, Matt, which I hate using, but Matt, he did mention that there is going to be a meeting between management and labor. Let us deal with it at that table, because Izzy will be there and Mr. Bates will be there. So we can figure out what they're really wanting.
All right, now I'll turn the time over to our city attorney, to adjourn us to closed session.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We are adjourned to closed session to discuss 3 items. The first is conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9 D2, and that's for one case. The second item for closed session is conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9 D4, which is one case. And the third item is the public employee performance evaluation under Government Code Section 54957 for the city manager. We are adjourned. Thank you.
It's okay, you can clap.